the song where am I live? Am I not live? Hey, it says that my chat is disconnected, and who knows at this point? I don't know. I am not a happy camper this morning. And for once, it has nothing to do with a certain lady that doesn't like Kleenex. Well, it kind of sort of does have to do with her, vaguely off to the side, but mostly no. Um, Successfully reconnected the chat. Yay. Okay, you guys. Long rant. I just got back from having tests run and I just got my test back. So I've got some things to talk about today. I'm possibly going to either not do this or go down to just a couple of times a week. I got a lot of things going on right now. I'm getting ready to leave for the US next week. I'm going to see my children. And I'm so excited. Hey, Real Entertainment News and Christoph. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to see my kids. I haven't seen them since before this COVID stuff started. My daughter, my youngest, I saw her right as COVID was about to start. She came to spend a week with me between jobs. So there's that. I've seen her, but I've seen my other daughter, but I haven't seen my son. So I'm going to see my son and my youngest daughter. I'm happy about that. I'm getting ready to film on Tuesday a segment with a documentary company that's doing a documentary series for HBO Max on Gwen Shamblin Lara. I'm trying to talk several people I know here into doing the documentary. The series is looking at the entire Gwen Shamblin thing. They're looking at her church, what's the name of that church? So my brain is going this morning. Ever since they started me on calcium channel blockers the other day, my brain is not functioning. And that's one of the things supposedly that happened to me is I should have short-term memory loss, but I don't. The Remnant Fellowship. I knew I would cough it up eventually. The Remnant Fellowship. They're doing a series on that. Apparently in the middle of the series, Gwen Shamblin died. I'm going to get tissue because I did the HA thing and wipe my nose and my hands. They're doing a whole series on that. So there's that, and I'm trying to get some of my friends to join in who know the Shamblins because they were raised with the kids. And it's a whole nasty mess of a thing. Like one of the Shamblin children has had struggles with substance abuse, and they're saying with prawn, and if you know what I mean by prawn. So we're looking at this and seeing where does this go, and I think that that's where the documentary series is going to have to go too. They're re-editing and adding other people like myself and trying to add my friend and his wife who were raised with the children, who know them all too well. So that's all I'm up to. That, and I've been thinking a lot, and I've been thinking about, we don't have a lot of time left here on Earth. None of us do. I don't care if you're 21 or 61. Everybody's got an expiration date stamped on their butt. I think mine is closer than I would like it to be. I would like to say I would die in my hundreds like my great-grandmother in my bed, just say, okay, I'm tired of living, I'm going in there, and then say, well, old age, that's all that's killing her. That was my great-grandmother. On the other side of the family, I have my father, I have his mother. They all died at 61, and I'm 61. The thing that killed them was strokes. Well, for the last 6 months, I have had nothing but trouble walking. Terrible trouble with it. At first, I was being called a drunk here in Tamarindo because I was like veering all over the place. Then I started walking with a cane, and I'm doing a lot better with that. I'm not falling quite so much. So there's that. What the problem I ran into is that when I was initially, and I have a lot of pain and numbness on my left side. When this initially happened, I went to my regular doctor's office. I went to the clinic. There are 6 doctors there. There's one doctor that is a crappy doctor, and there are 4 that are decent that I don't mind seeing at all. The crappy doctor saw me when this started and told me I was not having a stroke. I wasn't having a heart attack, that it was probably MS, and that the neuro he had talked to said for me to wait 6 months and come in. Well, it took me 4 months just to get in to see the neuro, because he's my once and future neurologist, because I've seen him, but for my stroke almost 3 years ago. I had a very minor TIA, a little teeny tiny stroke. I got spots before one eye for 2 or 3 days, and then it went away. But I was put in the hospital. They airlifted me. They put me on, let me grab the box. They put me on, there it is. Wrong box. Everything here is in boxes. And they put me on this, along with blood thinners and statins. First month on the statins, I developed that symptom that if you're ever put on a statin and you develop, you need to get off that right away, because it's an indication that your muscles are breaking down. It was terribly painful in my arms and legs. Everywhere there was a long, big muscle hurt. It was awful. I went off the statins. My doctors here, stupid doctor, said, oh, well, you should take half a pill. It's like, I'm not taking half a pill, because one of the side effects of statins is it will break down your long muscles and cause kidney damage. So I was having those symptoms. I quit. I just said, I'm quitting. I'll do something else for my cholesterol, but that is not it. And if my blood turns into Crisco and I die, so be it. So anyway, long story, I had to get off the blood thinners because I have von Willebrand's and I started bleeding crazy. So that leaves for me the blood pressure pills. And my blood pressure started going too low on those pills. I tried half a pill. It was too much. I was having low blood pressure. And once every 2 months or so, I'd spike 1 or 2 days of high blood pressure. And I would take the meds then. In the hairdresser. I can't wait to go to the hairdresser. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to the States and I'm going to let them trim my hair a little bit. Statins are bad, Cheryl. I had a great uncle that was a scientist that worked on the first statins, and he told everybody in our family not to take them, that they were dangerous, that they would cause you to have kidney problems and all sorts of things. He worked on them and he was opposed to them. How do you like them apples? So long story short, and since my initial tiny mini stroke, I don't take the meds because of reasons. I have good reasons why I don't take the meds. I take the meds. I take the blood pressure med when my blood pressure goes up. It doesn't go above like 140, no, over 85. So I'm watching it. So anyway, long story short, 6 months ago, I see Dr. Dumbass. I'm just going to call him names because I'm furious with him. And Costa Rica does not allow you to sue for medical damages, or I would be suing him right now. So he tells me to wait. He tells me he's talked to my neurologist, and the neurologist says, wait, come in when you're here 6 months. Well, I said, the hell with that. And I made an appointment, but it took me 4 months. Right now, my neuro, to see him, he's booked solid through Thanksgiving. So that ought to tell you, he's like the top guy in this country. So I finally got to see him on Monday. He examined me. He noted the fact that my muscle tone on my left side is very lacking, and that I have almost no reaction to anything. I have a whole lot of numbness and pain. He looked at me and said, you have had a thalamic stroke. And I said, there is no way that I've had a stroke. I had none of the symptoms. My blood pressure never went up. I had no stroke symptoms. If you look up thalamic stroke, there are like 10 symptoms, and I had like 1, 2, maybe. So one MRI later, one's CAT scan, I've had a thalamic stroke. And it was very tiny, but when you're talking about the very center of your brain, a thalamic stroke is a little more dangerous than a tiny little TIA in other part of your brain. So it was a thalamic stroke. And here's the bad thing. When they ran the tests, they discovered I had other damage to my thalamus. So apparently, I've had some kind of problem with my thalamus for a long, long time. I mean, even before I became a senior citizen, and there is damage there. Because Dr. Dumbass did not recognize that I was having a thalamic stroke and said, "Oh, you're not having a stroke," and didn't send me immediately. My neurologist said I should have been airlifted immediately to San Jose to him and put in the hospital where they could run clot dissolving drugs and various things. So long story short, my inability to walk and all the pain I'm feeling on my left side is permanent. This is why, if you have a doctor that you think may have screwed up on something, get a second opinion, get an immediate second opinion. Don't fiddle around for 2 more weeks like I did. I didn't get my second opinion for 2 more weeks, and she still couldn't get me in because it wasn't considered an emergency at that point. So here I am, 6 months later, with permanent damage. Thalamus, yeah. And it controls a lot of things, the thalamus. I'm thinking that I may have had damage for many years. They're saying that one of the scars is very old, like maybe back to my childhood, as far as they can tell. It looks like it's been there quite some time. I've always had balance issues. Thalamus controls that. I've always had balance issues, so bad that my mother put me in ballet when I was 7 to see if ballet would help me be more balanced and not so damn clumsy. Well, I love dancing, and I still do. It didn't solve the problem of my balance. So I'm thinking, and then somebody else sent me this link the other day. Apparently, the thalamus misfiring or whatever, or being messed up, can also contribute to mast cell and asthma. So this is all crazy interrelated, and I'm pissed off. I am very angry with my initial doctor who told me that orthopedic docs for over 5 years always get a second opinion. Yeah, you're right. And my neuro encouraged me to get a second opinion in the States. I don't know if that would have helped or not. I'm going to the States soon, and I will have a neurologist I know there look at my records. And we'll go from there and see what happens. The neuro here is pushing me to go into physical therapy to regain some balance. I'm conflicted. I'm of two minds about that because, number one, what I know about strokes is usually what you have after 6 months is what you have. I mean, they can improve you a little, and your brain can do the neuroplasticity thing where it rewires, and it's already started to happen, the rewiring. Because even though I have a lot of no sensation and or pins and needles, I still use my left side way more than I used to when this happened. When this first happened, it was like this. So there's that. Cheryl, I have to do that from now on. I have to avoid Dr. Dumbass. Dr. Dumbass treats women's complaints as if they're mere mental things. He's told me before he thinks I need to see a shrink. Honey, I have been seeing a shrink off and on for years, and I'm possibly the most balanced I've ever been in my life. So I have always just shrugged off his advice. He also told me that there was no way I could have the kind of asthma that I'm claiming to have. He didn't know what mast cell was the last time I saw him. He had to actually look it up on the computer to see what it was. I don't think highly of him at all. There are better doctors there, and I've known that. But I just happened to fall in his hands when I had this, and it was the wrong thing. And then when I, a couple of weeks later, saw the head doctor, she said, no, you need to see a neurologist, and it needs to happen quickly. But they were not able to make that happen. So here I am. I may or may not get physical therapy. The other problem with physical therapy is 5 hours away. It's in San Jose. After this trip to San Jose, I never want to go back. It was pretty awful. I talked about it yesterday, so we'll see. If she can give me it might be worth it to go in and get the initial exercises and go from there. Everything I'm looking up online, I can do already. Chiropractor is all about the nervous system. Very for a long time, but I wasn't able to walk in March, and now I'm back to walking normally with much less pain. Bliss, that is an idea that I may have to do. because I have had friends that have had appointments with chiropractors, and this done them a world of good. Now, I don't know if there's a chiropractor here. I'll have to research that, but I'm only going in for a week back to the States. Just long enough to shop and hang out with my kids. Yeah, so there's that. So I'm going to have to check into that. And you know what? I came back and all the craziness that was happening in the whole without a crystal ball community is still happening. It's still happening. And I'm looking at that and I'm looking over here at my Falmouth's problems. And I'm looking at that. I'm thinking, that is the dumbest, most petty, stupid thing that you could focus on. Life is pretty short. And I'm not thinking with the new diagnosis that I'm going to have the longest of lives. And I'm of two minds about it. Part of me is okay with that. Part of me is not okay with that. Part of me is like, no, I want to see my grandkids. I want to blah, blah, blah. But they tried to do physical therapy after my stroke and nothing happened. It's like the doctors kept recommending me to go. I ended up, oh, small town Jewel. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't think this is going to be improved by this either. As it is already, I already swim or walk in the pool for 30 minutes a day. So I'm doing the exercise component. I changed my diet like they're requesting. Um, I added a calcium channel blocker, which seems to be working. If nothing else, it's brought down my heart rate, which I have an unusually high heart rate because of mast cell. So maybe this will help. And I'm considering going back on the blood thinners if he thinks it will help and I won't bleed to death the next time I go to give blood, give a blood test. Maybe it's worth it. I don't know. Bliss, I think you're right on that. I'm done. I started thinking about this and I wrote something about this while I was gone. And before I even talked to the doctor, I said, all of life causes ripples. All actions in life cause ripples. And sometimes it's the only true action of a narrative. We're seeing her trying to construct a narrative. What person has no profile picture and what name? Who is that? Um, so I've started thinking about that a lot. Everything we do in life, it causes ripples outward. Everything we do affects other people. And everybody can see the waves, the motion that the thing she's choosing to engage in, like the Sophie Long thing recently. Sophie Long's father has her, and there is all this stuff about Sophie Long being missing, even though the father has custody. And she's engaging in that. And she's not looking at the story of, hey, the father has taken the child away from the mother. She's looking at it as Sophie Long is lying about her essay. That's how she's approaching this. And I look at that and I think the outward motions, the outward ripples that she's engaging in are nasty. They're toxic. Nothing good can come of engaging in what is really basically bad. The only good that can come of it is that other people will see and avoid because they'll see the toxicity levels. Oh, a group earns a living for, yeah, you're right. It is so wrong, Cassidy. I think it is. I can't believe how many people are trying to make a living off this. You know, I only got monetized last month, and it was never the reason why I was doing this. I had no desire to do this for money, and it's kind of a hassle when you do it and you're monetizing it because if you use certain words and you have to use code words like prawns and essay, which I don't like. I'm a direct person. I will call the name, the thing, whatever it is, directly what it is. I don't really like all this fumbling around in different names and stuff. But I started looking at it and thinking, she's just wasting her entire life. Please don't waste your life. Please don't waste your life on these minor things. When I was on Real Entertainment News website on his stream with BX Beast Boy, who I happen to like, by the way. I've always liked BX. I've just liked to pick at him one time when I thought he was sad fishing. Um, there was someone that came in that attacked me and said that I did this only because I was jealous of KJ, and I was jealous I wasn't making the money she is. And I was calling Knitter, please. I don't even know if I was monetized at that point. It's not the money. It's not the money. That's not why a lot of us do this stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It's the calling out of the awful. This person went on to say something else that was really curious. They said that I could not have gotten the same bad emails as everybody else because I wasn't on the list. And I'm kind of jaw dropped about that. I've thought about that so much. What did they mean? I'm not on the list. I wasn't on the list to get harassed and get death threats and to get prawn emails. Well, I got them, whether I was on the list or not, whether this was Lori Alexander's craziest fan or whether this was one of Steven Anderson's bunch. I got those emails. And for this person to say that I wasn't on the list indicates to me that there was a conspiracy going on. And this person spoke like they were a KJ supporter. The things they said were straight out of KJ's mouth about me. And then they went on to say that, which indicates to me that whoever is doing these emails is somehow connected to the whole thing. Maybe connected to Clark Swanson, so more than our girl, but sis, as they keep calling her. I found you through KJ Substay, Small Town Jewel. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Christoph Ann. You know, she has called me filthy names and impugned my reputation, but I'm just going to say I wrote NLQ for nearly 10 years for Pathos, and for a year or so before that, I tried to help her when she was with Pathos. She was there less than a year. It didn't go well. You can't show up and change your topic after you've already been asked to stay on a certain topic. You're hired to do a certain topic. You just can't do it. I think she was disappointed by how little money everybody in Pathos was making, where we had made good money once upon a time. And I used to say that the Duggars were my bread and butter because the Duggar pieces always got the most hits. And I disliked that because I wasn't going to make up anything about the Duggars that wasn't already there. And drama only affects you when you feed into it too much. You are right, Sincere. I believe that. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying today, because I've been trying not to talk about her, and I'm still going to try not to talk about her. As far as I'm concerned, she no longer exists for me. I tried to help her. She knifed me in the back. That's life. That's life. And her ripples are going to go outward. It's going to be like garbage water going out. And eventually people will figure it out. All I can say is there is a reason they're talking to myself and not her for this documentary. And I will never spit out the name of the documentary company or any of the details, because I know the second I do, Sis is going to be hitting them up saying, you got to talk to me. Well, you know something? No, they don't. And you know very little. She's talked very little about Gwen up until the moment that Gwen died. I talked about Gwen quite a bit because I was shocked, because I knew Gwen. There's a little bit of a different story there. And I had no idea I was going to feel that kind of sorrow and disgust as I did when she died. And there's another wasted life. I'm just going to come right out and say it. Gwen seemed pretty normal when I did Way Down Workshop and I was a coordinator and all that. When Gwen went off and did the remnant church and denied the Trinity and went from being normal to being about this big around. I mean, you could look at her pictures of her arms and see she clearly had ED going on. She had some kind of eating disorder, and it wasn't a good thing. Her hair kept getting higher. She just kept getting stranger and stranger. It was pretty obvious she had something mental going on, and nobody in her real life would help her with that. I hate to see that exploited by somebody who's just trying to make clicks and views. And that's exactly what it was. It was a cynical exploitation, the same way the talk of Sophie Long and the Duggars is a cynical exploitation. She has no desire for things to get better for any of these people. She just wants it. She just wants the money. And I got to tell you, there's more in life than money. If you have enough to get by on, thank Jesus, Buddha, whoever, but don't let it rule your life. Don't let money rule your life. Health is really important. Like I said, I've always had crappy health my entire life. And that, yeah, she wouldn't shut up speculating about the crash. You're right, realification. And it made for some awkward, weird things because she didn't know Gwen. She was making all kinds of assumptions because of what she'd read about Gwen's various things. And as much as I thought Gwen had gone off in the wrong direction, Gwen deserved better than that. And like I said, the way she talked, I figured she had worked there a very long time. Oh yeah. Small town Jewel, yeah. She worked there less than a year. And I was supposed to help her, and that was not happening. Yeah, the higher the hair, the closer to God. Gwen Champlin definitely had that going on. I don't quite get it. And talking to in chat, since I'm obviously a BX supporter. Oh, Bliss, that's terrible. I like BX. I like BX quite a bit. And one of my closest friends here is also from the Bronx. And he's also not white. It's one of the rare not white people I know here. And we get together and talk about Star Trek and play Star Trek Flux, this game. But I really enjoy him. And VX kind of reminds me of him in a little ways, except he's not quite as a pushover. That's crazy. That's crazy, Bliss, that she would block you for being a mod with him. I don't get it. That I just don't get. You show up here and you're respectful. I'm gonna let you speak. There are even times I have let people that don't like Ren speak that I don't necessarily agree with. You're not going to love everybody, and you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm fine with that. Everybody is different, and that's cool. I mean, I think that's the beauty of diversity and of life. Just imagine if we were all the same, how boring that would be. There'd be nothing to talk about. We couldn't talk about the Britney Spears conservatorship, which I'm glad that Britney was able to finally get the right to hire her own attorney. I don't know what Britney's problems are, but it sounds to me from day one, way before the conservatorship, that Jamie and her mother, Lynn, is it? Treated Britney like she was their golden ticket. She was the goose that kept laying the golden eggs for them to exploit. And I'm glad to see her at her age. And it is weird to think about the age she is now. At her age, try to gain control of her own life. She needs to. Ah, silent watchers. Silent watchers. Yeah. Sometimes I will silently watch the channels of the people I don't like if I feel it's not a safe space to talk in. I'll just watch and I won't say anything. I may say something in the comments. Plus, I don't know why they would block you, because that's crazy. That is crazy. She blocked me too, but I expected that. Um, there were a lot of times when I blocked her on Facebook. And let me tell you, she's got way more than 6 profiles on Facebook. I don't know about Twitter. I can't say. I have my suspicions. There are a lot of people on Twitter that are suspicious. And when the names pop up, that's why I'm locked on Twitter. I'm locked on Twitter because there are just too many crazy folks. And so I stick with my people that I know are not crazy, or the same kind of crazy I am. And I don't chase down people that I don't like. That's a fool's game. If you are engaging with somebody who's trying to fight with you, either on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you know what you can do? You can step away. It's the most amazing thing. In fact, I had to laugh. Yesterday, something popped up on my memories for Facebook that really made me laugh. It was a thing where it said, angry people without a sense of humor make those of us with a sense of humor laugh. And there's a lot of truth to that. There's times when I've watched my husband pick at people in the political realm and make them lose their marbles. Just make them just lose it with fact and politeness. He's done it. It's actually pretty impressive. And he knows that I have a temper and I will lose mine. I try not to ever lose it here. I will sometimes lose it on Twitter and other things, particularly when I see somebody in particular has promoted a new conspiracy theory. I was pretty hot on Sunday when I saw that there was another story about Steve McRae supposedly approaching her, and she was claiming he's mad because he turned her down. That's at least the 10th story I've heard of Steve's magical wanger and where it was. It's been more places than Baron von Munchausen. She's constructed a whole narrative that is not true at all about Steve. She's constructed one about Tina that's not true. She's constructed all these narratives. And I was saying earlier about the ripples going out, and sometimes they bring trash and dirt. And she just can't make up her mind what her story is going to be. It's always going to be some kind of nasty thing about anybody that does not agree with her 100%. And I saw that Uni Pebble is back on her side. He's making all these different allegations. What's really comical to me about Uni and the things he's saying, Uni Pebble, here's your pebble, is that he was carrying on and saying that Steve had lied all in his lawsuit against Kyle and that Kyle was innocent and victorious. There's an arrest warrant out right now for Kyle because he's refused to cooperate in any way, shape, or form with the courts. You just can't do that. If you could call the court, it behooves you to go. If you don't go, then whatever they decide to rule on you, that is what you're going to get. You got to laugh over the ridiculousness of people, Bliss, because if you don't laugh, you're going to explode. That's one of the things that I've got to does he end up swearing in German? I don't know. Oh, she didn't block you. She blocks everybody else, Bliss. She blocks everybody else. And you just say, I think the most shocking blocking to me for her in 2 fights was when she took after Carolyn Ironwill, because Carolyn tried to say, hey, please don't eat M&Ms like that on your live stream because you're triggering my you're triggering me, you're triggering my autism. And she has mocked Carolyn endlessly, needlessly, and been nasty to her and blocked her. And then she blocked Sue Elliott, who is quite the sweetheart, for talking about the death of her daughter who had a form of cancer, I believe it was, who was sharing the story when KJ was talking about her own child's various illnesses. And she blocked her. She blocked her for talking about the death of her precious child. And to me, that's the cruelest thing you could probably do. Cheryl, I like BXB's boy. He just makes me laugh. He's very comedic in a lot of ways. Um, it's just, I do have an email. I have an email. It is suzanne.callulu@gmail.com. That's my email address that I don't mind giving out. Oh, the Carolyn incident. Yeah, the Carolyn incident was pretty gnarly. But because of the Carolyn incident, I got to know Carolyn Ironwill, and I wouldn't have known her otherwise. And the same thing with Sue Elliott. So even her dirty ripples going out and knocking people over, it's all good because it brings decent people in the community along with the wackos. I'm just going to say it. There's some people that were involved in the community that I wasn't entirely comfortable with that have proven me right. Karma enabler, anyone? Mm. So there's that. And now a lot of the anti KJ community is talking to KJ, which kind of blows my mind. No part of it. And like I said, I want no part of any of this. I have a life to live that I've got to do. I've got to make some major changes. I've got to add some exercise more than I've been doing. I'm going to eat better. That one's a pain in the ass. I hate cooking. It's just easier to grab stuff. You're right about that small town, Jewel. She always has something worse to say. She says she's going through something worse. The constant victimization that she preaches, it wears you out. Even with my various health problems, I'm not the victim. I'm pissed off. I'm mad. I'm powerful. I will eventually go talk to Dr. Dumbass and tell him, hey, Dr. Dumbass, look what you did to me, you asshole. She is amazing. She is amazing. Carolyn gave me a reading, too, a little small mini reading, and it was pretty on the money. I was dealing with a situation with the dog at church, with the giant poodle I was reacting to. And I didn't know where I was going. I still don't know. I've gone to two churches in the area that are not the church we were going to. And one of them that I anticipated the entire experience to be bad was actually not so bad. It's problematic only in the fact that there is a billionaire there that is just the most obnoxious jerk on the planet. He and I have knocked heads in the past. So if I go there, I have to unfortunately regularly see this guy who's quite the genius, but he has an unteachable spirit, as the funny way we would talk about him. He has an unteachable spirit. He knows everything. And he's the guy that's tearing out his swimming pool after putting it in because he didn't like it. He thinks that he knows better than everybody else in this world. I don't have that conceit. I don't know better than everybody else in this world. I like learning. If I hadn't have been open enough to somebody sending me a link to the thalamus problems and asthma and mast cell, I wouldn't have known about that. But he has a very unteachable spirit. He's a pain in the ass, but so be it. I don't have to socialize with him. I have other friends there. So there's that. And that church I expected to hate. And it's open air, so there would be no problem with anyone bringing dogs. Open air, the dander goes. The other church is also open air, but it's a lot bigger. And I'm sitting there and during worship, and the songs they're using were from like 1990. The whole worship experience was just like all these old songs that we used to sing back in the day. The sermon was a little bit better, but there were so many people and so many colognes. I'm just sitting there twitching, waiting to get out of there because I'm not somebody that can listen to sermons without my hands doing something. And some pastors don't like that. If you're doing something with your hands or manipulating something, they think you're nuts. And I must be on the spectrum because I can't just sit down and listen without doing something, which is why when I listen to other creators and listen to, I want to say blogs, but that's not it. I'm having a senior moment here, a thalamus moment. When I listen to podcasts. That's it, podcasts. I will be doing laundry or something else entirely. And speaking of podcasts and YouTubers, I just finished reading a fabulous book that I've got to look up the name and recommend to all of you. It involved a podcaster. And the big question the book asked, and the question that I had not even thought of, is all these true crime podcasters and YouTubers, and not just true crime, but some other things, maybe even like tea, are they harming or helping? They made the case that if somebody's family is suffering because of, say, Sophie Long's family, because she's disappeared with the father, or a true crime podcast where the person who is the victim, their family is hurt by it. And sometimes it stirs up cases and it brings things going the wrong direction. Something with the CSA drama. I thought she shut it down after that. Oh, well. Sue is on Twitter. Sue is on Twitter. Let me go where I can laugh a little. Life is tough as it is. You're right. And we need to be as comical as possible because life surely is not comedy. And that was what was funny about my trip. As horrible as it is, I'm starting to look back and laugh at going to San Jose, between the guys in the middle of the giant highways, traffic going by, or selling things in the middle of the night, including like my big Chinese hat that I wear out in the garden. Just sell it by the side of the road at 9:39. I mean, like, that's not by the side of the road, in the middle of the road, in the middle between the lanes, was selling this stuff, selling cashews, selling these little, well, I have to get one of these little things. I don't know what they are. I got some rose Kias that you put in your coffee and they soften up, but they sell all kinds of crazy things. Oh, so Tay Reedy got your little girl. It was the most ridiculous and horrific thing I've ever seen. Star Lily, yeah, I see that. I've seen that actually. I've seen that actually myself. And I've seen some pretty crazy tarot readers online, including a number of them that nod out from drugs. And it's like, girl, how are you even pretending to read tarot if you can't even sit up straight and think about what you're saying? You're nodding off. God knows I always laugh and say I'm full of enough drugs. If you pick me up and shake me, I probably rattle. And I have more drugs in me than the entire Fleetwood Mac lineup in the mid 70s. So there's that. But it's one thing to take medication for things, and it's a whole different ballgame when you start doing the kind of things that make you nod off, like OxyContin and heroin and various things. That is not a good look for anybody. So yeah, so here I'm rambling and ranting about these YouTube streets today and how, 43 minutes. My husband's gone. He's at his Bible study. So I'm happy about that. He was definitely discombobulated by this entire thing. And like I said, don't ever go to San Jose without a GPS. Don't go there because the streets are one way and it's incredibly hard to navigate without GPS there. And if you use certain brands of GPS like Apple Maps, you're going to get lost because it's not going to be on there and they're not going to show. I couldn't get to Hospital La Católica, where my doctor's appointment was, by looking at those maps. So anyway, that's my day. I'm about to go out and go swimming because extra exercise has been ordered, and I am going to do that extra exercise. I'm going to work in my garden. I'm going to ride my exercycle, and then I'm going to swim. It's a beautiful sunny day. I encourage everybody to go out and enjoy the sunshine wherever you are, or the rain, whatever kind of weather you may have, and enjoy. And avoid being pulled into the drama and she doesn't have ripples. She's got tornadoes around her. Okay, you guys, love you. Have a great day.